All right, so second part of trying to fix your scrub caps that are handmade and make them a little bit more form-fitting for yourself. Once again, I have it turned inside out. That way the hem is on the correct side. I just went through and I just kind of basically marked it out with those clips. So I just kind of marked them every couple of, I don't know, maybe every inch, inch and a half or so, all the way around, just so that it would be uniform. And then what I'm going to do with my hot iron is I'm going to go ahead and kind of make sure that the crease is really good and straight. So I'm going to take, usually I want to take that guy off first. Take that guy off, and then I kind of go in here like this and just make sure that it's nice and straight. And then once you have it nice and straight, you're going to want to take your tape that we were talking about, the hem tape. You're going to want to just take however long of a size you need. I'm actually going to do a little extra step, and I'm going to put one right here and then one on this side, because I want this to be a nice good seam right here, because this is where it's going to have the most tension when you're wearing it. So I'm actually going to do just a little tiny piece, about, oh yay size. And then, like I was saying, there's kind of a scratchier side and then the smoother side. Doesn't matter which side you put down and which side is up. You kind of just place that, if you can see, in the little crease where you want it to be at. And then, since this is a little bit long, I'm going to kind of fold it over just a little bit to make sure that it seems really, really good right here. And then you make sure that you take that iron and place it on there. I placed it on for just a few seconds, just to kind of make sure that it gets nice and hot. You want to make sure that it's hot, otherwise it's not going to adhere at all, and you're going to have a really, well, not a very good job, to be honest. It's going to just pull all apart on you. So see, like you can still see that this part right here is not quite adhered, so I'm going to kind of go this way a little bit with it now. You don't necessarily have to have water in it or anything like that, because we're not really trying to iron it out and make it, you know, straighter. We're just trying to melt basically the adhesive to make it stick together for that hem. So now that I've got that little piece, I'm going to kind of let it sit for a second. It's going to be very, very hot. Once it gets to enough where you can put your hand or your palm on it for more than a second or two before you're going, oh, that's hot. That's usually when you can kind of move it a little bit around and not have to worry about it pulling itself up again. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure a little bit more out of this tape. And we'll go right about here. And then you'll see that now that I've already gotten that side down, I can kind of just take this little guy and slip him in there. And so it's resting about right about here is where it's resting. So I'm going to push it down just a little bit further. So now it's right about there is where it's at now. If you can feel, but you don't really have to. It doesn't have to necessarily be at the very top or the very bottom. Just as long as it kind of is stuck on there, you know, make sure that it's nice and heated, like I said before. Make sure that you sit there for a few seconds. It's going to kind of steam a little bit. Going to kind of look like you might burn something for a moment. But that's okay. We're not going to burn anything. So now I don't like to keep it on for too long at one point, because I don't want it to actually burn, like I was just joking about. So I kind of take it in steps. I'll do a little bit, kind of feel it, make sure it's not burning anything. Kind of pull it up a little bit. If I feel like it's not stuck enough, I'll put that iron right back on it. If I feel like it's doing okay, it's not sticking, or it's not pulling up too bad, it's sticking real good, then I'll kind of move on to the next. So that's what I'm going to be doing now. moving on to the next. And we're just going to kind of follow this all the way around. And as you can see, as I'm going around, I'm pulling these out and making sure that it's a nice even keel and not too, too big on one side and small on the other side, whatnot. I'm going to give it a quick second. I'm going to take a break for just a second and make sure that my crease is still looking good. So now I've pulled a couple more of the pins out, and I'm kind of just feeling the pocket to make sure that it's sealing correctly. I'm going to go back over this side a little bit more again because the tape ends right about here. So I'm going to kind of want to not quite get right up against the next one, but I want to make sure that I get close enough and it's not going to be too much of a space in between where the tapes are. So once again, another little piece. Just gonna set that guy in there. Let's see, the end of the other one's right there. So let's try and get as close as we can to that one. All right, let's put the iron on that one again. Let's see how, here we go. So I made sure that I am not going too far in between where the tapes are to make sure that the seal is all the way around, nice and even. But I'm also trying not to overlap them, because if you're going to overlap them, then you're going to have a real thick spot in that one area where they're overlapping, and it's going to kind of almost become like a gummy, and it's going to come out the side a little bit. I found that out the hard way one time. So you just kind of have to make sure that you don't put it right over the other one. Make sure that you put them close but not overlapping. So this is really warm, so like I was saying before, you got to kind of be careful about it. I like to smooth that out a little bit before I put tape there. Make sure that it's a nice solid crease before I put any tape on it. So I'm going to go ahead and measure out some more tape. So now this last guy, let's see exactly where he ends. He ends right about there. So I'm going to actually kind of move it just a smidge over this way. There we go. And I'm going to make sure that I get a good crease right here. I'm going to move this. Okay, there we go. So make sure we get that. There we go. So. That's the end of it right here. So I'm going to take this, kind of stuff it down in there so it makes it nice and even, flat area. And then same thing, put this over it. My friend made these for me, like I was saying, my friend and ICU nurse, and I thought they were absolutely adorable. Loved them, but didn't have the heart to tell her that my head's not that big. That I didn't need it quite that big. So I wanted to find a way that I wouldn't, hurt anybody's feelings or anything like that, but still could be able to wear what she made, because I like it a lot. This is one of my favorite prints right here, actually, the one that I have right here. I love it, but after a hospital stay for a couple of hours, you kind of get a little bit irritated with having to readjust every time. Every 10 minutes you're having to readjust and readjust and readjust. And now you see how I have a little bit of a fold right there? I'm going to actually keep that. I'm going to keep that fold because it's going to be a little bit of more tight because I am making a round surface, so it needs to be just a little tiny bit tighter. So I'm actually going to keep that. I don't know. It depends on if you want to make yours a little bit smaller. You can do this intentionally. This wasn't necessarily intentional, but it will actually work exactly how I want it. So I'm not going to fix it and make it flat completely there. Like I was saying, my head's not as big as I guess some other people, or maybe she just has like a form that she just uses that's kind of like a uniform, size, that one size fits all kind of thing. And I don't know about everybody else, but one size fits all doesn't always work for me. I mean, it works, but just not on everything. So let's see. That's still real hot. But you can see it's coming together. It's coming together. It's not perfect. And, it's not going to be because this is all like handmade, somebody's sewn this and whatnot. So I don't believe it's ever going to be completely even. But, it's going to be pretty darn even as you can get it. Put it that way. But this tape, I mean, sometimes you have those scrubs and you love the way they feel. And you're like, yeah, I look good in these. And then one day you put them on and you're like, that leg could be a little bit shorter and it would be a little bit more comfortable for me. This is perfect for that because it's like 15 minutes, you're done, your thing is hemmed, you're all good to go. It works perfect. Works perfect. I love this stuff. And I've only used it a couple of times, but every time I've used it, I've loved it. So I'm going to do kind of the same thing I did last time where I took this guy and I kind of went up this way with it. I'm going to do the same thing with this one because I want to make sure that is a good seal right there where that is. And I'm kind of making a crease over again, pushing it a little bit further out this way because I want it to be a little bit tighter around this side so that when I put it on, it actually will be the right size for me. So let's first do one small one, and then I'm going to do another one just in case we have to double up, I guess you could say. Because I noticed, yeah. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to do kind of like an L. I'm going to make like this. Actually, I'll do the longer one right here. We're going to do like this. Okay? So, I first put this guy in here. And you can see it's already tacked pretty darn good on there, So you don't need to really do a whole lot to it to tack this down with that, once you've put that tape on there. It's pretty well stays, So now since this is a corner and I did kind of double over the tape and whatnot, I'm going to leave this on there for a few minutes. Well, not a few minutes, a few seconds. Because I really want to make sure that binds really good and it's not too tacky and spills out the sides. Like I was saying, if you put too much, it spills out the sides kind of. I don't want it to do that, so I doubled it over, but I also want it to adhere really good in that corner. So let's see how this has been working out. So I'm going to actually do this real quick and push pause, and we're going to kind of maneuver stuff around, and I will be right back.